We'll now walk through a practice exercise to demonstrate how the high-low method can be used to calculate both fixed and variable costs that are contained in monthly expenses. Here we have an example of a company located in Brazil, Brasilia Bus Tours, where it incurs maintenance costs on its buses each month. The amount of the currency that we use here is calculated using real, which is the currency in Brazil. In this situation, we have activity from November till April, where we have tracked the miles traveled by the tour buses each month, and we have also accumulated the total maintenance costs related to those buses. And our requirements are, in part one, we're going to use the high-low method to estimate how much of those total costs are variable versus fixed costs. In part two, we're going to take what we've found in part one and express it in terms of a formula where we could actually calculate the fixed costs and the variable costs related to their maintenance costs for any month. And then in part three, we'll actually use that formula to express what the costs are for a given month with certain miles. So let's take a look at part one. First thing we need to do is analyze the trend of activity that we have, and we can see from the chart that March winds up being the highest month because it has the highest number of miles as well as the highest cost. Same thing is true for April in terms of low month, because that is the lowest month of miles driven and the lowest cost. Now we'll take that information from that chart and move it over here to our part one solution. To calculate the high and low, we need to subtract the lowest month from the highest month. We do that for both miles and dollars, and we obtain a difference in this case of 18,000 miles and a difference of 2,250 real in terms of the dollar amounts. We now divide the miles into the real currency to get a rate per mile of 0.125, and that 0.125 will be our variable rate per month. Now, to use that variable rate and calculate what the cost is, we can use either the high month or the low month. It will work on either one. But if we use the high month, we have 30,000 miles, and we multiply that times our variable rate of 0.125 real, and that gives us 3,750 real dollars for the variable cost for our highest month. To calculate the fixed cost, we just subtract those variable costs from the fixed costs. So our total costs were 18,750 for that month. We subtract the variable cost, and that gives us 15,000 real dollars as the fixed cost. So in answer to part one, we have 3,750 variable, and we have fixed cost of 15,000. Now bear in mind that that 15,000 is the fixed cost in each of the months that we have listed, and that the 3,750 will be the variable cost for in this case March, but that variable cost will change depending on the number of miles driven in each of the months. So now let's take what we've calculated here and translate that into a formula that we can use to determine how much the variable cost would be in any of the months. So in part two, what we learned is that we added the variable cost and the fixed cost together in order to get total maintenance cost. Well, in our case, we know fixed cost will be 15,000 real in any month, and we know that the variable cost will be whatever the miles are times the variable rate of 0.125. So translating that into a formula, the formula would be taking the fixed cost of 15,000 real plus the multiplication of the rate per month times the miles to get the variable cost, 0.125 real times whatever the miles are, and that will give us our total maintenance costs. That formula can be used regardless of what month we're talking about. So now let's move to part three, where we need to predict the level of maintenance costs in a month where the miles would be 34,000 miles. So in part 3, we take our formula that we developed in part 2 and we drop in the applicable amounts. The 15,000 real would still hold true, and then we take the 0.125 real times the 34,000 miles, and that gives us a maintenance cost in that month of 19,250 real. Hope this has done a good job of explaining to you how the high-low method is applied in helping us determine what the variable and fixed costs are in any given situation.